So my name is Leah. I'm a history major at Broward College in South Florida. I'll be reading Huckleberry Finn as part of Banned Books Week. This book was challenged in 1885 and 1905 because of vicious and coarse language, to use the exact words. It's also been accused of having racist undertones, but I kind of disagree because the whole entire story is basically the story of a white boy and a black man living together as equals and actually becoming fast friends. And their relationship, I think, is very endearing and refreshing at a lot of times throughout the story, because they kind of see each other in a very innocent, unassuming way. So in this excerpt, Huck is contemplating whether he should turn Jim in and have him, and because he kind of feels bad for his owner that she has to do without one of her slaves, but at the same time, of course, instinctually he feels that it wouldn't be the right thing and it wouldn't be being a good friend, to do that to Jim. So he's kind of torn between those two options at this point in the story that I'm going to read. So I was full of trouble, full as I could be, and didn't know what to do. At last I had an idea, and I says, I'll go and write the letter, and then see if I can pray. Why, it was astonishing, the way I felt as light as a feather right straight off, and my trouble is all gone. So I got a piece of paper and a pencil, all glad and excited, and sat down and wrote, Miss Watson, your runaway nigger Jim is down here 2 miles below Pikesville, and Mr. Phelps has got him, and he will give him up for the reward if you send. Huck Finn. I felt good, and all washed clean of sin for the first time I had ever felt so in my life, and I knowed I could pray now. But I didn't do it straight off, but laid the paper down and sat there thinking how good it was all this happened so, and how near I come to being lost and going to hell. And went on thinking, and got to thinking over our trip down the river, and I see Jim before me all the time. In the day and in the night time, sometimes moonlight, sometimes storms, and we are floating along, talking and singing and laughing. But somehow I couldn't seem to strike no places to harden me against him, but only the other kind. I'd see him standing my watch on top of his, instead of calling me, so I could go on sleeping, and see him how glad he was when I come back out of the fog, and when I come to him again in the swamp up where the feud was, and such like times, and would always call me honey, and pet me, and do everything he could think of for me, and how good he always was. And at last I struck the time I saved him by telling the men we had smallpox aboard, and he was so grateful, and I said I was the best friend old Jim ever had in the world, and the only one he's got now. And then I happened to look around and see that paper. It was a close place. I took it up and held it in my hand. I was a-trembling because I'd got to decide forever betwixt two things that I noted. I studied a minute, sort of holding my breath, and then says to myself, all right then, I'll go to hell, and tore it up. I thank you very much for listening.